is it your birthday tomorrow?
Who told you that? You know that.
So, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mike Barrett. Happy birthday to you.
And I'll tell you right now, Sean, it really is. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, I'm legal drinking age tomorrow, and I can't go out.
Oh, shnikes. Well, I'll drop a beer off via drone to your house. So, what's the scoop over at Barrett Insurance? You've had the slot in the door, and you've, of course, done most of your business online and on the telephone. Opening doors anytime soon for the public?
Yes. And that's something we haven't done yet. We are still locked up this week. But, if you think about it, as a business owner, any business owner is dealing with this. There's a tremendous amount of pressure upon the business owner to comply with CDC guidelines, to make sure that they're OSHA compliant or VOSHA compliant, the Vermont department there. There's a lot of guidance and instruction, and I'll tell you, some of it can be a little, all of it can be overwhelming. So we want to make sure that we are dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's and making our doors become open again a very safe and welcoming and compliant experience.
So right now you're installing sneeze guards?
We are not installing sneeze guards because should the day come that we don't need sneeze guards anymore, I don't want holes in my desk.
Yes.
So we are implementing different processes that will allow, because a sneeze guard is necessary when you're unable to maintain that 6-foot social distance. We figure we have enough real estate in our office with a smaller staff to keep that buffer in place. And to keep things properly sanitized. So, we would still ask, if you need to come into the office, please do. But if it's a transaction that can be done in any other fashion, we ask you to consider doing it that way.
When I was younger, I actually thought sneeze guards were to prevent fat people from just putting their face right down into the buffet. But so. Electronic insurance versus paper copies. Do you see that in the future that paper copies are just going to no longer exist? The whole got it in the glove compartment when you get pulled over. You're just going to flip open your phone and show the officer, here you go, here's my insurance.
Well, that's already here with many companies. Companies have started implementing paperless options already. Right now, the paperless option gives you a little bit of a credit depending on which company it is. And I'm speaking of auto insurance, but you could see a little credit with some companies on your home as well. Electronic means of transmission is very, all the companies have online access. They all are creating portals where you can grab your policy documents if you want to review them. And, of course, we have all the electronic documents in our office. So if it gets to a point where it's a little too cumbersome for you, we're able to easily get you everything you need with an email. So it's something that I foresee paper always being an option, or at least for the long term being an option. But I know more and more people, including myself, like the electronic option as well.
For young people, a lot of online learning going on in colleges, sort of doing that. But there will be some people who will decide to go out of state and go to college once this sort of has an acceptable way for people to return back to schooling. Is a college student able to get renter's insurance when they're at a dorm?
Yeah, technically, they would still be covered by mom and dad's policy because they're still, by definition, a dependent and an insured of the household. So while they're away at college in a dorm, it's very common for mom and dad's policy, which is normally the way the definition works is up to 10% of personal property, otherwise known as Coverage C, extends to other owned or occupied property. So in this case, let's say mom and dad had to have $150,000 worth of personal property coverage on their homeowner policy. You'd have up to $15,000 at other locations. So it's one of those things where you always want to check for any company-specific things to make sure that you're not just assuming that's the case. So a call to your agent is always advisable.
Well,
but we find that that's an easy way to do it.
Would I call and say, okay, here's a list of the things that I'm sending off with my student, laptops, books, things of such, or at the time that anything should occur, you're all right with just saying this is what was the loss.
Yeah, just call us, and so we can make sure. I mean, every company is really essentially the same rule there, but it's always good. I'm a double checker. I'm a triple checker. So if you have any question whatsoever, call. And then if it's the same scenario where your child is going off to college but going to be residing in an apartment, we recommend getting a renter's insurance policy in the state that the child is at. It's very easy, very affordable, and it's actually more optimal at that point.
Interesting. So I wouldn't say if my kid's going to Massachusetts, you couldn't cover me because you're here, but I'd have to have somebody there write me an additional policy.
Correct. Now remember, insurance is has a general requirement federally, and as long as every state is meeting that requirement, which of course they do, they then have their own state regulations. So every state is a little bit different. Some states have some similarities, but you always need to have your insurance written in the state for which your vehicle is registered and for which you are living in to make sure that your policy complies with the state that you're in.
Well, I hope tomorrow you have a happy 21st birthday. If people would like to call and wish you a happy 21st birthday at Barrett Insurance Agency, they can do so by calling
748-5224. You can stop and knock on the door and wave at Portland Street in St. Johnsbury. We are online at barrettagency.com. Free online auto and home quotes are available there. We're on Google, Facebook, and YouTube as Barrett Insurance Agency. And Sean, for my big birthday tomorrow, I get to do a 6-hour missions class on Zoom. I'm so
Well, hopefully sometime there will be a break in there where you'll be able to have a clown outside the window with some balloons and who knows what. But enjoy your special day, and sorry you have to be stuck in a meeting all day. Hugs and kisses, of course, air hugs, for now.
Yes.
Until we
Not
meet
to
again.
me, though, right? To my wife, right? Not to me, I hope. Right? Okay, good.
Boy, no, really to your dog. All right, Mike, talk to you next Wednesday.
All right, sir. Be well.
Yep, you too.